The Harper government is set to introduce new prostitution legislation because the existing law was struck down by the Supreme Court last year. Sex workers, though, are upset about the proposed changes. They say they've barely been consulted. And as Valerie Scott reports, they fear prostitution will be forced further underground.
This is the decision.
Former sex worker Valerie Scott feels so passionately that Canada's prostitution laws are wrong, she took the issue to the Supreme Court and won in a landmark ruling last December.
It was the best day of my life.
4 months later, though, Scott is upset with the government. It's crafting a new set of prostitution laws, and Scott says the people who will be impacted most, sex workers, have barely been consulted.
They're not doing any consultation with people in the business. They're not interested in that.
Ottawa was given a year to come up with a response to the ruling, but legislation is coming soon. Earlier in the year, the government had a period of consultation, but Scott says there was just one quick meeting to get input from sex workers.
Each organization was given 5 minutes, and that has been the extent of the consultation.
I did consult with sex workers, but for reasons of privacy, I'm not going to say who.
It's not just a lack of consultation, though, that has sex workers concerned. They're also worried about the actual legislation and how it will impact them once it's introduced. It's widely thought the legislation will be a made-in-Canada version of the Nordic model, used in Norway, Sweden and Iceland, targeting clients and johns instead of prostitutes. But advocates say that will make it harder for sex workers to do business in safe and well-lit areas.
Clients will not come to an establishment if they're being criminalized, particularly if there's any kind of active policing.
Well, that is not true, to be quite honest.
Conservative MP Joy Smith supports going after johns. She says if nobody does, sex workers will suffer.
They say in Canada it's the oldest profession. We shouldn't worry about it. It's the oldest oppression and violence against women, period.
Scott doesn't agree and says if new laws criminalize any part of prostitution, she's prepared to fight.
Chomping at the bit to go back to court.
Valerie Scott, Global News, Ottawa.